Well, hello and welcome to the CAD tutorial channel. Today we have a subscriber that has suggested that we make this video. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting video and it'll be pretty quick and painless. But what we're going to do is create a inventor model here and bring it out as a DXF and bring it on over into Vectric's Vcarve and create the toolpaths for a CNC router for this cabinet. I'm not going to focus too much on the modeling today. I'm going to be mainly focusing on getting this out and creating our toolpaths for this. But what you can see here is a basic cabinet. We got our side, the other side is mirrored over here. And then we have a shelf, and then we have a back. So what we have is we're going to make a profile cut all the way around our side. We have some dados or some pocket cuts that we have to make for the back and the two shelves. And then we have some holes in here that we're going to use and we're going to drill those out. So we'll have three different tool paths to accomplish this. And so that makes the modeling a little more challenging, but nothing that we can't handle and get accomplished. All right, so I've created the assembly here. This is all the parts fitting together. And let's go ahead and just take a look at the main component, which is the side here. All right, so in the side, I have basically just drawn up a rectangle. Then I knocked out a hole over here and put some pockets in here and in the back, and then did an array or rectangular pattern to create the holes. So nothing too difficult. My dados are half the distance of the material, and my back dado is a little less. It only goes a 1/4 inch down, or about 1/3 of the way down through the material. And so that'll just give us something a little more interesting when we get over there to make two different pockets. And it also lets us deal with what we're going to do right in this area here on the pockets with the tooling. Okay, so the modeling is pretty straightforward, except I want to highlight a couple areas here. For my pockets, I extended the closed group here a distance of equal to my toolpath. I need to be at least half my diameter of my toolpath, but I went full width. That way I don't have to worry about it stopping short, and I can create a nice clean pocket with a crisp edge right here on the edge. I did the same thing on the back, but I had to make a decision. Which one do I want to go deeper? I chose to allow the shelf to go ahead and go into the back, even though the back isn't as deep. I can hide that and make sure that my edge lines up perfectly here. If I didn't, I would have rounded this little part off, a little bit of that thickness difference between the two pieces. So that really would have left me some other choices and to have to deal with. Holes are pretty straightforward, and we're in good shape. All right, so before I go ahead and continue on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my extrusions for those and I'm going to just suppress them. Okay, that way I'll leave the sketch, which is sketch 3 here, which includes all of my pockets that extend beyond the body here. And but I don't want to go ahead and bring over all of this geometry. I don't want geometry on top of geometry. And that's really all I have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and start up another assembly file. And I'm going to go ahead and place in the pieces that I need, which will be the shelf and my two sides. Okay, once I get them in, I'm going to go ahead and find an origin plane, make it visible, and I'm just going to constrain these pieces to lay them flat on there. I'm going to let the Vcarve take care of nesting, so I'm not going to get overly carried away with getting these organized and using the least amount of material. I just want to get them kind of flat on here. Okay, and that takes care of that. We'll go ahead and turn the visibility of this off, and I can see my pieces. All right, so at this point, I'm going to just take, very similar to some of the other videos that we've done, I'm going to just take a plane and offset it off here at a distance. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a part. I'm going to call it cut file. Click OK. I'll place it on that work plane. From here, I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch on that work plane. And then I'm going to project geometry. So we'll start off with the shelf. Then I'm going to start off with the body of this piece so I get the holes. Do the same thing over here. And then I want to make sure that I get my pockets as a closed body so I can see I don't have them there. So we'll go ahead and grab those. Okay, gotta get that back. And we need to get this one. Okay, and we'll repeat over here. I really don't need to mirror this part like I did in this part. I can do that in the software as well. So not a big deal. Okay, that should take care of it. I got all my pieces. I do notice that I'm missing a piece here. I'll fix that before we bring it on over to the other software. All right, so this is just the key to it. I have the profiles taken care of out here in a sketch. I got all my holes. I got these dados or pockets taken care of. Everything's here. And again, I'll just fix that little line missing here in a second. All right, so let's just keep going. Once I have my projections taken care of, I'll finish that sketch. And then I'm going to go to find the sketch. And I'm going to export that sketch as a DXF. In there, I'm going to make that a cut file and place it in my folder with all my other parts. And this will be the actual file that I bring and open up in Vcarve. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and close out Inventor and then go ahead and open up Vcarve, and then we'll go ahead and make the toolpaths. Okay, so I've gone and opened up Vectric Vcarve, and this is the screen that we'll start with here. I've set up my workpiece for 48 inches by 96 inches by the thickness of my material. I placed Z0 at the bed of my machine. We have a Laguna M series with a tool changer, so that's the way that I'm going to approach this problem. If you didn't have a tool changer, then you would just have to make each of the tool paths separately and then do a manual tool change if you so desire with that approach. From here, we got to bring our DXF in. So I'm going to go import vectors. And here's the file we made. Okay. I'll just kind of bring them on over here. there's a couple choices we can do with this once they're here. Is I can allow it to try and nest. So I'd set up my tool size at 0.25. I'll add a clearance of 0.125 and a border gap of 0.25. And I can hit the preview and it will determine what it's going to do. That did not work, so we'll edit, undo. Okay. So we'll manually do this. So I'm going to take that part and we'll rotate it. We'll keep all the vectors together until I start grouping them together. And then I'm going to go ahead and make 2 of these. So hopefully we can get them to fit. All right. They'll fit just barely. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the top and I'm going to add some new layers. I'm going to use layer 1 as my profile cut. Then I'm going to make a pocket layer. I like to add a color to it. And then I'm going to add a drill layer. And again, I'll add a color to that. All right. And then I'm going to take and start changing some things. By right-clicking, and I'm going to move them to the layer drill. Okay. I'm going to turn the drill layer off. And then I'm actually going to make another layer. We'll call this Pocket 2. So that'll be for the back piece. And let's give that a color. Okay. So I'll grab those vectors. So that one went real well. And that one went real well. And we'll change that to Pocket 2. And we'll freeze Pocket 2 as well. Turn that visibility off. That leaves us the last one, which is Pocket 1. That's weird. Okay. So something didn't come in with my DXF right here. So let's delete that. And we'll have to deal with that in a minute. We'll have to pull our layers back up. So let's just get these guys. So this one isn't going quite as well. So once I have the pieces highlighted, I'm going to come over here back and I'm going to use join open vectors on those 4 parts. Okay. That one's okay. Okay. All right, so that highlighted and this highlights, and we'll move those to Pocket 1. Okay. Let's delete this guy and make everything visible again. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to mirror it. All right, so now I have everything taken care of. So now it's time to go ahead and make our toolpaths. So we are going to freeze layer 1 and the 2 pockets, and layer 0. Okay, so we're going to start with the drills. And in our toolpaths, which are always on the right-hand side of the screen, here's my drilling toolpath. So I'm going to pick and highlight all of those. My start is going to be at 0. My depth is going to be at 0.375. And then I'm going to select my tool. So we've already built our tool library based on our machine. And so we're going to pick our drill. Okay. And calculate. Okay. Close. Come back to the 2D view. Now we'll hide the drill. And we'll bring in our first pocket, which will do this. All right, so those pockets, we're going to grab them and go to the second option here, Pocket Toolpath. And we're going to select our tool, which I need to use an 1/8 inch bit on this. Okay. And we're going to do this, we're going 1/4 inch deep. So we'll just make it 2 passes on that, keep it nice and crisp. And we'll set that at 0.25 for our cut depth. And we'll leave everything else as the default. Calculate. Now we have our second toolpath made. And now on to our next pocket. Highlight them. Another pocket operation. This time I'm going to use a little bigger tool cutter. We'll use a 1/4 inch bit. Okay, we'll set our passes. We're going to go 0.375, so we'll do that in 2 passes. And change our depth here. And we'll leave everything else as the default. Calculate. Our third toolpath is done. And we will freeze that layer. And then bring layer 0 back in. All right. So I have a little bit of a problem here. It mirrored them too close together. So we're going to have to make an adjustment. I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to highlight all of those pieces. And we'll set a toolpath. We'll use a 1/4 inch cutter. We'll go 0.75 deep. And we'll do this in 4 passes. Okay, since we're doing a full profile cut, I'm going to add I'm going to add tabs. And by default, I like to shrink these down to about 0.375. And a thickness about 0.1. I hit the edit tabs and then I can place them in. I also like to put my tabs where it's not that critical. Really 2 to 3 tabs each should be enough. If I don't like where a tab is, just unclick it. All right, that's good. That'll keep it from not sliding around once it's cuts all the way through. Okay, all done. Defaults the rest of the way. Calculate. Okay, so it did not like that because the parts were on top of themselves. So let's go ahead and fix that. So in order to fix that, I need to bring everything back up and move it all together. So I'm going to take this piece and we'll move it. Okay, that'll be better. Okay. Oops, I made a mistake. Let's undo. I left pocket 2 off. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and turn those layers back off. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab these and make sure they're joined. Okay, so at this point, I don't need to remake the toolpaths. I just need them to be recalculated. So I'm going to pick all my toolpaths and recalculate all. That should do it. Now we'll come over to this screen and let's just preview all the toolpaths. Okay, we didn't get a cut around here. So we will edit that toolpath and we'll add these vectors in. Calculate. Go back to our preview. And the easiest way is reset the preview. So we're back to scratch. And then preview all toolpaths. There we go. Finished. So at this point, I'm going to highlight all my toolpaths, and then I can go ahead and save my toolpaths using my post processor for my machine. Again, we're using a Laguna M series. And we just save the toolpath off and then move it over to our machine and let the machine do the heavy lifting for us. So this is how we would take a DXF out of Inventor and do pocket cuts and drilling and all different operations from the single DXF and bring it on over into Vectric Vcarve and then put it out on our CNC router. Similar process for plasma and some of the other CNC technologies for doing that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And if you have any ideas for our next video, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you.